Hello everyone, and thank you for clicking on another one of my videos. I am Screen Scene Guru, coming at you with another full series recap. This one is on 911 Lone Star, the spin-off series. If you guys have been following my channel, you can catch my previous video to 911, the entire series, the first 8 seasons. I hope you guys go and check that one out. It is a 30-minute video, so quite long for the channel. But this is going into the spin-off series, Lone Star, which I am a very big fan of. This is starring Rob Lowe, and it also has Liv Tyler in the first 2 seasons. It has some other recurring actors and actresses, but going into the show, I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to some of the stars real quick before I go into this. So like I said, Rob Lowe and Liv Tyler are starring in this series. This is on Hulu as an original series. This also stars Jim Patrick as Judd Ryder. I really like his character. He's kind of our main focus besides Rob Lowe's character. Also starring, we got Gina Torres as Tommy Vega, a really awesome, kind of the spirit and the soul of the series. So I would like to see her performance. Shout out. Also, real quick, we got Natasha Karma as Marjan. I really liked her performance as well as a lady firefighter. So yeah, going on from there, I just want to give a highlight to some of my favorite episodes. Starting off, I've got a bit of a list written down here. Starting with the pilot, so the first episode of season 1. I've got a little bit of information pulled up on IMDb. So going over that, I've got Owen Strand, the lone survivor of his Manhattan firehouse on 9/11, takes his progressive philosophies of life and firefighting down to Australia, Texas, where he helps the firefighters of House 126 start anew. So I thought this was a really fantastic opening to a series with the survivor of 9/11, taking his experiences and his memories to a new firehouse and teaching them all that he can. We do get to see quite the trials and tribulations Rob Lowe goes through, Captain Strand goes through in the series. They go through a firehouse, a house fire at their own station where they have to rebuild. A lot of fascinating hurdles, a lot done up for TV, of course, played up for drama. But I like the heart and soul of the show. I compare it to the 911 original series, the Firehouse team. You really get to love and hang out with these characters. So going on from the first episode, the whole first season's really good, but I got just episode 8, Awakening, is also a really good episode to check out. So like I said, season 1, episode 9, should I say, Awakening. The crew race to a gender reveal party gone horribly wrong, and a father and son trapped in a cave during a splunking expedition. Judd and Grace aid Judd's aging father. So I thought this was an interesting episode. Awakening, on episode 9, season 1. Also, we've got episode 10, which was Austin, We Have a Problem. That one consists of Owen helps TK reconcile his past to help his future. Michelle learns the full truth about Iris. So a lot of kind of inside drama going on between characters. Moving on to season 2, I've got, let's see, Back in the Saddle, which is episode 1, and it goes, The crew responds to a military tank on the loose and a human pileup at the roller derby. Um, new pandemic, new pandemic captain Tommy Vega joins the team. Owen is reunited with his ex and receives an update about his cancer. So yeah, throughout the series, Owen Strand is going through a bit of personal drama, going through fighting his chemotherapy, his cancer returning, and then of course we get to see Tommy Vega introduced, our paramedic captain. So that's really cool. Moving on to episode 2, we've got 2100. After volcano erupts, wreaks havoc in Austin. Members of the 126 race to save lives at a college pool party. Families mid golfing outing, and a woman trapped in her and a woman trapped in her food truck by a horde of scorpions. So a lot going on at the beginning of season 2. Let's see. Anything else? Okay, so going on from there, we've got episode 9, which is titled Saving Grace. Grace and Judd fight for their lives in the aftermath of a horrific car accident, as flashbacks show how childhood tragedy led to Judd and Grace eventually meeting and falling in love. So I thought this was a sweet episode about those two characters, and a bit of an origin story as well in season 2. Then going on to episode 12, I've got The Big Heat. A recovering Owen becomes the prime suspect in a serial arson case. Meanwhile, TK and Carlos find themselves in a fiery situation, and Tommy gets the surprise of her life. Some more inside drama with the characters going on. Moving on to season 3, we've got a really strong season opening, beginning of a season, with episode 1, The Big Chill. This is probably my favorite season overall. But an ice storm hits Austin. Owen deals with the fallout of the 126 closing, and Tommy, TK, and Nancy settle into a new apartment. Judd and Grace prepare for the birth of their first baby. And then moving on to episode 2, Thin Ice. The ice storm continues. Tommy and TK and Nancy race to rescue a young boy stuck on the ice. Judd and Mateo help trapped Paul and Owen take drastic means to save a man who's been stabbed. And then going on to episode 3, we've got Shock and Thaw. The ice storm continues. Owen tries to save stranded migrants while TK's life hangs in the balance, and Grace prepares to give birth to her baby. So a lot is happening in this beginning of season 3. We see Owen kind of off on his lonesome in a log cabin, dealing with the big winter they're going through, ice storm, winter, and of course he has to help someone that comes to his cabin, and eventually a whole group of people, migrants that are coming up through Mexico. He eventually deals with their coyote and helps them get away, or at least get to an area where they are safe. So fascinating beginning of the season there. I thought that they wanted to go towards things that were popular at the time, similar to 911 as well, in the original series. So moving on from the first 3 episodes, I've got episode 16, so you can jump all the way over to an episode called Shiftless. Owen travels to Los Angeles to confront his estranged father and some painful childhood memories. Judd takes Wyatt to his family ranch, where an emergency brings them closer together. So another episode where we follow Owen's backstory. We get to find out about his father and his brother that he wasn't aware of. So interesting story back there. Going on from there, we've got season 4, So let me move over a page to season 4. Okay, and then going down a little bit from the beginning of the series, I've got episode 9, Roadkill, as a really good episode on my list. On her way back to Austin, Marjan is in the fight for her life when she is targeted by a killer. So I thought this was a very fascinating episode. I thought it was kind of like the Gabby Petito story, kind of, without, the boyfriend, but just a story of, a woman traveling by herself, being stalked and having to fight to survive. Very interesting episode. I thought it was kind of like a mini action movie. All the episodes are kind of shot like a mini movie, very high budget and production, so that's really cool to see. Going on from there, I've got season 4, episode 18, so you can go all the way to the finale of season 4, which was In Sickness and in Health. Owen is conflicted when his brother Robert asks for his help, right, in suicide, his assistance. Judd and Grace face the family crisis as TK and Carlos prepare for their wedding. Tragedy strikes. So Carlos's father, who's a Texas Ranger, ends up getting killed in the line of duty investigating the cartels. So a lot of fascinating stuff goes down in the season 4 finale. Going on to our current season, season 5. I've got episode 2. So let me move over a page real quick. Okay. So titled Train Wrecks. The 126 race into action when a major train derailment caused multiple injuries. Tommy makes a bold move in her relationship with Trevor. Marjan and Paul continue to compete for the open position. So you see a lot of animosity about the team. There's a position opening up where they want to be upgraded in the firehouse. There's tragedy going on amongst some of them, and also disasters happening that they're responding to. So basically, given week in a first responder's life. So going on from episode 2, I've got episode 3, which is CI2. The 126 race to contain a toxic chlorine cloud of death unleashed by a train derailment. Owen names the station's new lieutenant. Judd finds a path forward. So really interesting episode here, because Judd left for a time to pursue other careers, and then of course those didn't pan out for him, and they gave him the ability to come back to his firehouse, starting from the bottom to go up, starting from a probie level. So I thought that was really cool to show. So going on from episode 2, I've got episode 9 of season 5. So going down the list a bit, got Fall from Grace. Carlos is determined to solve his father's murder. Owen is offered a life-changing opportunity. Judd gives in to his demons. Tommy begins her treatment. So you see throughout the show, the different characters throughout are facing different levels of adversity. Tommy being diagnosed with her cancer, so she's going into her treatments for it. You get to see Carlos really trying to find out who murdered his father. That was his kind of arc for the season, to find out what happened. As a new former ranger himself, Texas Ranger, he's doing his dad's work, investigating cartels. And then, of course, you get to see Owen is offered a position in the New York firehouse. So life-changing opportunity at one of the world's greatest firehouses in the country, probably in the world. So really cool stuff's happening. But, of course, he has to break the news to his family, to his firehouse, which is going to be hard. But moving on from episode 9, I've got the series finale, episode 12, Homecoming. So going on to that, Owen and the 126 deal with the aftermath of an asteroid crash in Austin while an even greater threat looms. So after we see an asteroid crash in Austin that leads to a nuclear plant going into a near meltdown, I thought this was a great episode, a great finale. We all wondered what was going to happen, and of course, Captain Owen saves the day, just like he always does. We even got to see a bit of a flash forward to him at the new firehouse in New York. And they have confirmed there is going to be a season 6, so we are going to see more from this team, possibly next year. So really cool to hear about that. Let me know what you guys' thoughts were on 911 Lone Star. If you guys have caught the show before, if you haven't, here's a list of episodes to go check out. Going on to a bit of movie news, we do have CinemaCon just wrapped up in Las Vegas. This was last week, the first week of April. Here we are on the 9th of April. I just want to report on a little bit of news. We do have a Superman announcement. Warner Brothers released a quick, I believe, 5-minute clip of the new James Gunn Superman, predominantly with Crypto and Superman, which was pretty much advertisements that some people, critics, had already seen before, but now we get to see it as a wide audience. I really like to see the footage that we got. A lot of people were kind of critiquing it, saying, oh, it was all about the dog. If you love dogs, you're going to love it. If you aren't going to like it, which I thought was very interesting, that even a clip of a dog and Superman could get controversial and hate news. But I really like to see what we saw, the stuff with the fortress turning towards the sun. The Superman robots were very interesting, very old school comic book line for all Superman for all ages comic book line, so that was cool to see. But moving on to some other news, I do have a little bit of information jotted down in my journal. So just going off of a few things, there was a sequel announced to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino films to date. This time being done by David Fincher, apparently. This is going to be released on Netflix at some point next year in 2026. So a sequel featuring Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio returning, reprising their roles from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It sounds like it's a good time. It's taken a while for them to build up to this, probably with both of them starring in major motion pictures this year. We've got Brad Pitt starring in F1 and Leonardo DiCaprio starring in One Battle After Another, coming out later this year. So they're probably going to recoup their money a little bit before they come back together as a dynamic duo. Moving on, we've got The Long Walk, a Stephen King book that they're adapting now, which it sounds like a very interesting story about a group of young men that have to walk a 3-mile-per-hour trail without a finish line, and if anyone stops in their group, they are shot. This is likened to an American version of Squid Game. This is an older book, so I've heard about it, and I've been told to pick it up from sources. This and Running Man. So The Long Walk and Running Man are both being adapted this year, and they're supposedly being true to the book adapted compared to the Arnold Schwarzenegger adaptation of Running Man. That was apparently very done up for the movies, not book accurate. So apparently this time we're getting a version with the star of, I believe, the new Twisters. Gonna have to look up his name real quick. But we've got Edgar Wright directing, so that sounds really promising. But I do not know who we've got for our new lead. Let me look that up real quick. Glenn Powell. Okay, so we've got Glenn Powell as our new Running Man, which sounds like that's going to be a fun time. He was recently in a few good movies like Top Gun Maverick, the new Twisters, so that's promising. We also got to see advertisements for the new Tron Ares. The trailer was recently dropped on the internet, so you guys can check that out and give your views and your opinions on that. Moving on from there, we did hear about Paramount announcing a new South Park movie. We've got new Star Trek and South Park coming out from Paramount, so that's really cool to see. They announced Sonic 4 and Scream 7, so a lot of IPs. Friday, a new Friday picture is in the works. Predator Badlands, which is a movie coming out in November. And then we've also got the new Predator animated movie. The trailer just dropped today. It's titled Predator Killer of Killers. So that sounds really cool. Getting a whole lot of Predator stuff this year. We got to hear about Paul Rudd and Jack Black talk about their Anaconda reboot that sounds to be like a comedy, a spoof comedy. 28 Years Later is going really well. They're talking about a sequel, The Bone Temple, coming out in 2028. So that's really fun. Beyond the Spider-Verse, released in 2027. So that's 5 years from the last one. And I believe it's a timeline of 5 years in between for all of these animated films. We got Into the Spider-Verse, and then it was 5 years in between. And then we got Beyond. Now we're getting Beyond. But we got Into and then Across. And that was a 5-year time gap. And now it's been 5 years since we got Across. And we're getting Beyond. Which I thought is just crazy amount of time that flies for these animated films. I Know What You Did Last Summer. We got a new trailer that's supposed to be dropping any day now from Paramount. The new Karate Kid Legends. They had an extended footage release. Spider-Man 4, Brand New Day. A new title was released. I already reported about that. Sam Mendes is doing a 4-part Beatles film, which I thought was very interesting. They're planning to release it in 2028, all 4 films. It's going to be, supposedly they're talking about the first bingeable theatrical experience with the 4 Beatles films. Lionsgate is discussing the John Wick universe, so that's really cool to see. Ballerina got extended action sequences played for an audience that they really liked. Let's see. Francis Lawrence announced he's doing a new Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping, which sounds like it's very interesting. I have yet to read the book, and I haven't caught up with Songbirds and Snakes yet, so I'm a movie behind and a book behind. Ruben Flesher is directing the next 2 Now You See Me films, which I don't really know why they announced 2 of these movies, but the Now You See Me franchise with Jesse Eisenberg and a few more. I mean, I like Ruben Flesher because he did the Zombieland movies. Those are the 2 films I do like of his, but he's continuing this Now You See Me franchise. The Housemaid was discussed with Dakota Fanning, or I think actually it's Dakota Johnson, the one from Madam Web, which I didn't watch, but I do know her from 50 Shades of Grey. So The Housemaid is being developed, which is basically about a woman being brought on to care for this author who she's now bedridden, and the husband's trying to cover up for her not being able to read or not being able to write or move around the house. He brings on this housemaid to basically write this final book for her and cover up the fact that she can't do it herself. But of course there's more mystery involved in the story. I believe it's 3 books that's The Housemaid, but it's getting some controversy from Lionsgate because no one can tell anyone its original story, because there was a 2010 Korean film titled The Housemaid, which was the exact same story, which comes back to an even older film that Martin Scorsese did for Criterion in the 90s called The Housemaid. And that was the exact same story about a man bringing on a woman to finish his wife's book, and she was a famous writer, and she became catatonic. You ended up finding out it was because the husband was drugging her. It's a very out there story, but it's been rebooted several times, and now Lionsgate is trying to dish it out as an original story, but many people are calling them on it. But yeah, I think that's it for the news. I do have one more thing before I leave. We've heard about Mike Flanagan coming back to cinema, movie realm, and of course, Mike Flanagan is working on Life of Chuck, which that was another Stephen King book, but it's the nice adapted Stephen King, if you can understand what I mean by that. Mike Flanagan, of course, is responsible for things like Stand By Me. He did Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile. So the good stories of Stephen King, if you can believe that. So this Life of Chuck is sounding very interesting. A different type of storytelling that we haven't gotten in a long while. I've already discussed the Superman footage, hence why I'm wearing the shirt. But yeah, that should do it for my video. I want to thank you guys for clicking on the video and sticking with me. You guys can check out my channel on Instagram and on Threads for future content, and my reels. I do a weekly update post there. So until next time, guys, I appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye bye. Alrighty.